Wow. Well, you know what it's all about, man. You've seen a lot of change in your life, haven't you?
Yeah. I remember coming home from school one day, and my uncle was using horses during the war, and he was out husking corn. And of course, the team was ideal because you could just have them, you'd yell to them, they'd move so far, and you hold, and they'd stop.
Hi, you need in here?
Well, yeah, I was just looking for another word.
I don't know if anybody's sitting there or not.
I sat down over
here. This is mine here. I ain't giving this one up. Thanks for that.
But came home from school, and he said one of the horses, they got to the end of the row, one of the horses had a heart attack or something, just fell over dead. And he had a really hard time getting the harness fixed because the horse that fell over was pulling the other horse, the team.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah. He had a hard time getting the harness off the other horse. And then, of course, that's the last year the horse after that, he got a tractor.
And Sam Brownback is working his tail off to try to do the right thing. Because as he said, as he closed his statement there, we're just importing too much foreign oil. And they were making that same argument back in the 1960s when I first went to the Senate. In 62 and 64 and 66, we were importing too much oil. Then it was 30–40%. Yeah, and Boone's going to give you particulars on how much, but it just grown and grown and grown. And we always talked about, well, let's do something about it. But we never did anything about it. That happens sometimes in Congress. You talk a lot about doing something about it, but you never get around to doing anything about it. Well, T. Boon Pickens is not that kind of person. He's not going to sit around and talk about it. In fact, I told him the other day, I saw his schedule. I thought he was running for first-term member of Congress. I mean, he was everywhere. And he's been in Arkansas and New York and here today and going on to Texas tonight. So he's a hard worker. But before I want to say something about my good friend Sam Brownback. But I wanted to introduce a friend of mine and wish her a happy birthday, Scotty Lingleback. Where's Scotty? Scotty, stand up. Yeah. She's much younger than I am, or I was here. Well, they told me not to mention her age, but since you did. But she's a great resource for the Dole Institute, and thank you very much and appreciate all your help. I'd say one word about the Institute. When this happened, we insisted, first of all, that we get at least half the money from private sources. First, we said all the money from private sources. And my good friend Pat Roberts didn't think that was doable, so we did half of it, and many people in this audience have contributed year after year. And it's been what we said it would be. It's sort of a laboratory for ideas and for bipartisanship, for nonpartisanship. It's not a Republican institute or Democratic institute. In fact, I get complaints from Republicans all the time. When are you going to invite a Republican speaker to come to the Dole Institute? So it's what it's supposed to be. And I believe the young people on the campus and others who do research have learned a great deal and have a great staff. And Bill Lacey does a good job, and we're very pleased that here. And I think it is an asset to the campus, and we want to keep it that way and keep our word to the people. When we first dedicated to President Carter, as you may recall, came all the way from Georgia on a Saturday afternoon, dedicated. There were 35 Medal of Honor winners here for the dedication, and Tom Brokaw was the master of ceremony. So it's sort of a nonpartisan, bipartisan, whatever. But Sam Brownback, as I said, has been the leader, and he's been working very closely with Boon Pickens. But it's not just on the energy area that Sam has been so effective for the state of Kansas. It's pretty much across the board. And I can remember Sam when he used to come to Washington in his Future Farmers jacket. And I was in the Senate, and I would escort Sam and the other future farmers who came around the Capitol. And that's his background. And he been here all his life. He knows this state. He understands this state. And Sam, before I came out here, I said, Sam, this is your party and Boone's event. Are you sure it's okay if I come? And he gave me consent to come, and I appreciate it very much. I don't get invited out very much anymore. Now I want to say just one word about Boon Pickens. I said earlier, I think he spent more time in Kansas than I did. You know, he's been a taxpayer in this state for I don't know how many, he'll tell you, 40, 50, 60 years. But he can tell you by acquiring the Yucatan Production Company at Garden City, Kansas in 1969, which owned a substantial portion of the Yucatan field in southwestern Kansas, which is the biggest field there was. That's where sort of Boone really got his start. And there's no question that his success started in the great state of Kansas. And for that we're grateful, and I know Boone is too. He's still the most listened to voice when it comes to oil and gas in the country. What's it going to do? What's going to happen down the road? What do you think the price in 6 months? He's on all the talk shows. And when he goes on, you go on some of these talk shows. He was on a Hannity show last week. And Hannity didn't want to talk about the Pickens Plan. He wanted to talk about something critical of the president or critical of somebody else, but not with Boone. You don't do that. He came in to talk about the Pickens Plan. And whatever question he got from Sean Hannity, he got an answer about energy and how much we were importing and how important it was. And I think it made a much better program than kicking somebody in politics around. You know, it's a lot of fun for 30, 40 years, but then you would move on to something else. And if I had stayed on message the way Boone stays on message, we might be in the presidential library today instead of I like to ramble around all the time. Boone has a product that he knows how to sell, and he's going to tell you about 1 minute here. In fact, I think Boone announced my delegates from Texas in 1996. Well, I think he's a lot like the spirit, as I said earlier, of this institute. You know, we're reaching out, we're trying to learn, we're trying to be creative. We want people to know more about what's going to happen in the future. And Boone understands how important it is, particularly the younger people in this audience, and there are many of them, about the role that energy will play, or the role that if we don't have energy, it will play in the future. And the biggest, I think, the thing that I like about, and I watch Boone around the Capitol, this is not a partisan thing to Boon Pickens. He doesn't make it a partisan thing. He doesn't single out one source of energy. He'll talk to you about nuclear, he'll talk to you about wind, he'll talk to you about natural gas, whatever it is. He's kept it very general, so he's picked up a lot of support across the board, Democrats and Republicans, because he hasn't made it a political issue. It shouldn't be a political issue. We're talking about the future of our country and the future jobs for our children and many in this audience. So he firmly believes in what he's doing. He wants to build a stronger country, and he's doing it with his own money. He didn't get a bailout or any money from the federal government to go out and try to sell this Pickens Plan. This is the T. Boon Pickens Plan, and if you want to read more about it, I just happened to bring a copy of his book. T. Boon Pickens. There's going to be a signing ceremony after a while, but it's a great book and tells you how one person can make a difference. So Boone, we're honored that you're here. I know this is your second visit to the Institute. We welcome you to the state of Kansas, and please come up.
I've got 2 or 3 things here. I'd like to run down my list, get them out of the way, and then we'll get down to business. But the book, the first meeting was the hardest, and that book came out last September. We made the bestseller list for a few weeks and faded, but we're maybe come back again. Now, the proceeds, any of you that buy a book today, those go to Brooke Army Medical in San Antonio and to Fisher House. So I don't get any proceeds off of that, and so you know when you're doing that, it helps our service people. The second that I go back to the 1996 race, whether we want to talk about that or not, Bob, I don't know. But I'd like to say something about it, because one of the highlights of my life when I was at the Republican convention at San Diego, 1996, when I stood up for Texas and said we cast all our votes for Senator Dole from Kansas for President of the United States. And that was a big day for Boone, and it was, I still remember it very well. Sam Brownback, Sam and I are working hard on an energy plan for America. And every time we get together, we get a little further into the strategy of it. But I can promise you this year, I don't know whether Sam can or not, but I can promise you we're going to have an energy plan for this country. We've gone 40 years with no plan. And so now we're getting ready to come upon a time when we have a plan. I want to talk a little more about that, but I want to recognize Dan Jacobson, president of AT&T Kansas. Is Dan here? Dan, thanks. Let me tell you why I'm recognizing Dan. Dan has helped, his company has, and has shown great leadership. And I had a visit with Randall Stevenson, CEO of AT&T in Dallas, and we talked about that the country needed an energy plan. And I said, what we need on energy is leadership. We need it desperately. And he said, in what way? I said, you need to have big companies here, the leaders in corporate America, come forth and say, we're going to get on our own resources in this country, and we're going to get off of foreign oil. And Randall said, okay, how do you see that happening? And I said, I'd like for AT&T to announce that they are going to do a large number of their vehicles on natural gas or hybrids. But what I want is America. And when Bob said that, said I'm for nuclear, I'm for drilling, I'm for natural gas, I'm for ethanol, I'm for anything that's American is what I'm after. And I want it replacing foreign oil. And I'll talk on it in a minute about that. But anyway, AT&T stepped up as a leader for us on that. A couple of things, I've got some small type here, but on my Pickens Plan, there are 34,870 Pickens Plan members in the state of Kansas that have signed up with me on that. Could I have a show of hands of you that know something about the Pickens Plan? It was higher in Oklahoma. Okay. We had 4,558,000 people sign up for the Pickens Plan Virtual March, which was April 1 through 3. And we put over 1 million emails, faxes, and calls into Washington during those 3 days. So we're pretty well known, I mean, as to what we're up to and what we want, which is an energy plan. Now, further, Governor Sebelius was I think the first governor that signed with me on the Pickens Plan, and that was at Topeka. We did the first town hall meeting at Topeka back in September, and wrong, it was in July. But we did it out there, and we could not believe we were prepared to receive 600 people there, and we had 600 indoors and 400 outside. So I knew that some of the concerns I had about energy for America and what Americans thought about it was coming through very clearly to me when we asked the people to come, and we had a great meeting. One last point, Congressman Dennis Moore from Kansas is also signed up with me on the Pickens Plan. And I don't have to stand back here to oh, good deal. Water and I can sit down. Okay, let me go into my mission. I see this as a mission for me. How did I get the mission? It was many years in the business prepared me for the mission. And as it unfolded, I started to become very sensitive to what politicians said about energy. And I go back to 1970, and Richard Nixon said at the end of the decade, we will not be importing any more oil in the United States. At that point, we were importing 24%. In the decade, we were importing 28%. Nobody ever said to him, Mr. President, you told us we weren't going to be importing any more oil by the end of the decade. Nobody ever asked the question. And I wonder, do they forget, or is it that it's not mentioned? So from that point forward, everybody that ran, Democrat or Republican, would say, let me, and we will be energy independent. And they would be elected. Nobody ever said that. How are you coming on energy independence? Nobody ever asked. As we went forward from 28% at the end of the 70s, we were now 51% by the time we got to the Gulf War. And I was making speeches, which, people would say, it's a good speech. I agree with you, but nothing happened. I'd say, we can't go any further. We're going too far. We're going to depend on oil for people that hate us. And I said, well, that sounds good. And I think you're right. I think all this is true. But never did we pick up any traction, no momentum, nothing happened. But the reason that didn't happen is because we had cheap oil. And so here we became addicted to cheap oil. Today I've been working earlier in New York today, and I just came in New York. And there, somebody said, it's just like dope, isn't it? I said, pretty much like dope. I mean, we got it cheap, and we continue to use more and more and more of it. So we get down to this point in 2009, we were importing almost 70% of our oil. 57% of the 70% actually comes from Venezuela. Really nice guys. They're getting 80 barrels a day from them. We get Mid-East, of course, and we have some friends, maybe, but we have some people in other brigades, and from Africa, and that's kind of falls in the same category. So all this now, we're sitting here very, very bold in this country, and our security is very much at risk, and because of the dependency on foreign oil. Okay, the problem's been pretty well analyzed at this point. I think that I could add some other things, maybe Wells would go, but now what's the solution? How do we get off of it? We can, but the only way you can get off of it is to get on our resources. There's no other way. Now, somebody said, well, you can conserve. Okay, good, I like that. Let's conserve. Use less oil. But we're still going to be using a lot of oil. Now, I do want to make a point here that there's every day the production in the world is about 85 million barrels a day. 85 million. I do not see that increase. Now, we're dealing with an 8% decline curve every year. So 8% times 85 is about 7 million barrels. So you're going to have to replace 7 million to get back to 85 every year. Very, very hard to do. So what's going to happen is about 2012, about getting, and you're at 85, you can't replace it, and so it starts to fade. As it goes off, and now you're going down, and demand is rising around the world, the price will go straight up. Now you got a preview of that last year. So when we launched on July the 8th, 08, the price of gasoline in Washington that day was $4.11. Okay, and people were really concerned, were screaming about it and everything else. And we did a lot of polling and focus group work and spent a lot of money. I spent $58 million to tell the story, and I didn't raise a dime of it. I mean, it was all me. But I was a lot richer back then than I am now. This year's budget was 58 also. I said, well, 58 at one time is enough. We got to cut that down for the second year. But we got to get this job done. The mission is very clear as to what I have to accomplish. And it ended up, a guy on July 8, 2008, 80 years old, comes up with a plan. Now that's a little strange. I mean, where, he just doesn't, somehow doesn't fit. What if he didn't come up with a plan? Would we have a plan? I'm not so sure you would. I'm not so sure you would have a plan. My father, got to tell you a story. When I went to school, you all know on stage. Bill Self and I both went to school. But at Oklahoma State, I was being initiated as a fraternity. I was SAE, and my father was an SAE at Tennessee, and he was a much better fraternity man than I was, and so he wanted to pin me with his badge when I was initiated. And I wanted to, of course, too, but anyway, he came on Stillwater for the ceremony, and he pinned me with the badge, and we hugged each other and everything. That was the day that my father became my brother. I always thought that was funny. But we were now brothers in the bond, and we, had a nice hug and everything. Everybody thought it was a nice ceremony, father-son. So then it was over with, and he was going to leave and go home. So we walked out on the front lawn, and he said, "Son, I want to get serious with you about something." He said, "Your mother and I," well, he didn't need to say serious, he just needed to mention your mother and I. That's serious, because she was the one that kind of was the disciplinarian in the whole operation. I'm an only child, by the way, so I got a lot of attention. And she provided kind of the tough stuff. And they were in agreement, and this is what they were in agreement on. He said, "We have a plan for your graduation, but we don't think you're on the same plane we are." So why were you there? And so I said, "Okay." And he said, "You're going to be finished June 1st, 1951. And I was kind of thinking, I may be finished right now. More than you're going. I entered in pre-veterinary medicine, and that didn't seem to be the life for me. And then I was in business, and my dad really didn't like business, and so he said, "So son," he said, "I want to explain to you." He said, "A fool with a plan can beat a genius with no plan." And he said, "Your mother and I are concerned that we have a son that is a fool with no plan." Nothing he said at that point that I could respond to. I kind of shake my head and all. So he said, "We have a plan. You better get on our plan and get out of school June 1st, 1951. Believe it or not, I did. I had to carry 2 18s and 19s through the summer, but I got out June 1st, 1951. The point of the story is, we have no energy plan. We look like fools. We look like fools without a plan. And let me tell you, around the world, I think our credibility suffers every day because, for instance, a minister of energy for Denmark wanted to get in touch with me and all, and we finally got together, and she came to Copenhagen, and we met at the Adams Hotel, and this was a month ago. And we talked. She said, "I've been watching what you're doing, and I can't figure out what is it you are doing." And I said, "Well, I'm trying to get off of foreign oil. That's what I'm working on." She said, "Well, look at what we've done in Denmark. We're off foreign oil." And I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "We don't import any more oil from the Mideast." I said, "How did that come about?" She said, "Well, we got in and used our own resources." I said, "Well, that's what I'm trying to do." She said, "Well, that's what it looked like, but I didn't know whether you were doing any good." And she said that, and then proceeded to tell me, you can do this, and all. And I said, I'm covering every base that you mentioned, but we have to get on our own resources. So I then put together Pickens Plan. Now the mission unfolds, and I go, I'm going to make this the #1 issue in the presidential campaign last year. And so we elevated, when you pour enough money in there, you can get some attention. People say, "Now that guy keeps showing up on there, maybe I better listen to it." Or if they listen to it, he said, "Change the station." But nonetheless, you start to kind of wonder, what is this guy up to, and whether it makes sense or not. Well, as it proceeded, it apparently did make sense. And our poll that we ran 6 months ago, we picked up 71% knew what the plan was. And so we knew we were making some penetration with the idea. In September, after we had running up for about over a month, well, both McCain and Obama said they wanted to talk to me about energy. So I met with them 4 days apart. McCain, I met with in Aspen, and met with Obama 4 days later in Reno. And both meetings went just about the same length of time. McCain had, he and Lindsey Graham were there. And then over with Obama, he and David Axelrod were there. And so there were just, I had one person with me, and so there were 4 of us there. And I made the total presentation from my side of the issue. And it's kind of interesting because I said to both of them, I said, look, that the presentation I want to make to you, I said, is if you were the commander-in-chief, and that well, I didn't say that first. I said that I'm a general coming to you with a problem, and I have a solution for it. And I said, and you're the commander-in-chief. And both of them had the same look on their face when I said it. They smiled. I've already in. So anyway, McCain said when we shook hands, he said, you accomplished what you set out to do. And I said, boy, which was what? He said, that it's the #1 issue in this campaign. I had more questions asked me about energy than any other thing. So I felt good when he told me that. He was telling me what McCain said because he isn't around anymore. But Obama was interesting because he asked if he could take notes, which I thought that was nice. Is that respectful, or does he really want to take notes? He took notes when I was talking all the way through. And he said, is there anything that I say in my remarks about energy to make you uncomfortable? And I said, yeah. I said one thing. I said, you are big on 1 million plug-in hybrids that you're going to have in 10 years. And, when somebody kind of challenges you, you'll sit up like this, he did. He said, let me tell you something, Mr. Pickens. I'm going to have 1 million plug-in hybrids in 10 years. And I said, okay, look out that window in that parking lot out there. I said, yeah. I said, there's 1 million cars out there. I said, it looked big. He said, yeah, it looked like a lot of cars out there. I said, now step back. You're president of the United States, and look at America. In America, there are 250 million vehicles in America. And in 10 years, you're going to have 1 million plug-in hybrids. Pause, he said, not very many, is it? I said, you're not grasping the size of the problem. It's what it is. We're turning out another 13 million vehicles a year. 1 million is nothing. And so he listened to that, and he never said it again, which I thought was pretty good. And he also said when he took the nomination, he said, he said in 10 years, we will not be importing any oil from the Middle East. I believe that if somebody says that they have a point. I think he has a point. Now, the way it's unfolded, the first part of my plan was we're going to renewable. We got the wind, the solar, and we have to have a smart grid. Well, all of that's in the stimulus package. Now you're over to how you're going to reduce the oil, because the only thing we have in America, one resource, is natural gas. Is the only thing that we have that can reduce the dependency on foreign oil. Think with me. That's the only thing we've got. Both Obama and McCain said to me, we would like to use a battery. I said, fine, but a battery won't move an 18-wheeler. Again, they had the same look on their face. It won't. They didn't know. They didn't know you could move. The only thing that would move an 18-wheeler with is diesel or with natural gas. You can't do it with ethanol. We know that. Biofuels are out on heavy duty, good on light duty. And so, as it unfolded, and now we're over to the energy bill, and Senator Brownback is big in this deal, and what I believe that we have to do is to have a very clean bill, not connected to climate, not connected to cap and trade, but take it through there so we can get on our own resources as fast as we can. It's that simple. It isn't hard to understand. So we need to get an energy bill where we are going to move natural gas to heavy duty, do the light duty with a battery. That's fine with me, I don't care. I want it to be American, is what I'm at. I want to get off the cornhole. And I'm 80 years old, so I'm in a rush. Well, I mean, you have to. And right now, that iron is hot. We know that. We know that Congress is ready for an energy bill. They know we got to become some. And I think we're going to get it. I think both the Democrats and the Republicans want it. So we got the problem pretty well analyzed. I don't get anybody that will challenge me. Oh, every once in a while. But if anybody's going to get up today on questions and challenge, don't get up and say you don't like my plan unless you have a plan. But you can't just say you don't like mine, and that's it. No, because if you don't like my plan, your plan is foreign oil. Because that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to either have a plan for domestic resources, or you're going to have foreign oil. That's it. It's either up or down. So it makes an argument that is extremely difficult to say, I don't like your plan. So what's going to happen in the future, that sure, we're tracking everybody, we're tracking Congress, that we're watching very closely. Those that don't have a plan are going to be tagged at some point as being for foreign oil. And they are not going to like that. That's going to be a disaster case for an elected incumbent that does not have a plan for getting off the foreign oil. Okay, now I've brought it down, and I'm ready to take questions. So let's go to questions. Yes.
Mr. Pickens, I greatly admire the energy with which you put your plan forth, and I really admire the fact that you've got the resources to get your plan out in front. Now, I also have another friend, Harry A. Brown. You've heard of him, I'm pretty sure.
Harry Brown?
In Phoenix. And he has the Phoenix project, but he doesn't have the funding you have. And so I even tried to get
John
him.
Spurling out there tomorrow.
Pardon me?
I'll see John Spurling in Phoenix tomorrow.
Well, I'm thinking of Harry A. Brown. His plan is to use the windmills you're talking about, but to turn the energy into hydrogen right then and there. And I thought, well, why not combine the two? We know how grids break down, and they do.
Okay.
Can you have an automatic system that would start to immediately turn that energy
I know the question.
into hydrogen?
All right. The hydrogen is very expensive. And so we're not ready to receive hydrogen in the vehicles. We do not have the vehicles to do it. So we don't, can you hear me okay? Okay, but we do not have the vehicles to run on hydrogen. So it's actually the power we're going to generate with the windmills we're going to have to subsidize it. There's no question we do. The wind is priced off the margin. The margin is natural gas. So you're going to have $8 natural gas to make the wind work. It's kind of the way it is. But we're getting on our own resources. So we need to develop. These things are going to develop as we go. We will be much more efficient 5 years from now than we are today. But as you go forward, the natural gas, all it does is bridge you to where you want to go. It's going to bridge you about 20 years, and you're going to have the technology at that point that the next transportation fuel that we're going to have will either be the battery or it'll be the fuel cell. Is the way it's going to work. But you have to have the bridge, which is natural. Believe it or not, one of my new friends, this surprised Bob once, I did, Al Gore. That's no laugh, just a second. Al is big on climate. Climate's on page 2 for me. Page 1 is security for America and our economy. That's on page 1. But it so happens there's some things that are parallel on climate and getting energy security in this country. And so, and Al said the other day in a summit meeting in Washington where we had Pelosi and Harry Reid, and had 28 people there. Had President Clinton was there, and Gore was there. Gore said, I agree with Boon Pickens on this. we have to use the natural gas on the heavy duty to bridge us to the battery in the future. So that's going to happen. You're not ready to take wind to hydrogen. Okay, next question.